This is what Blizzard have lost. And if you guys haven't watched this video, your mind is about to be blown. Because this footage is from BlizzCon 2005. 20 years ago, if you can believe it. And you're about to witness greatness, believe me. It's been a while since I watched this. So there's plenty of things I actually forgotten.
With the definition of a
Look
raid,
at Jeff! Oh my god!
Because it's PowerPoint, and we gotta be corporate. And
He's
the dictionary defines a raid as an entrance into another's territory for the purpose of seizing goods or valuables.
True. They knew their goals.
So we know exactly.
It's so crazy. You could see the spark in his eyes. Man, every Blizzard worker used to be proud being in that company. It used to be like the cream of the crop. If you worked at Blizzard, it meant something. That is so crazy how everything changed. I mean, now you say work at Blizzard and the police come knocking at your door. It's crazy, man.
Why you guys are raiding. Don't think for a second that we're ignorant to that.
Fat loots,
for today's
old
discussion,
memes, old
when we
memes,
talk about
boys.
raiding, we're talking about large groups encountering tough NPCs at the end game.
Yep.
So let's talk about end game content and why that is important.
Dude, I love the hint of cynicism in his voice. I love Jeff so much. So bad that he's like gone.
All of our player characters, anybody who buys World of Warcraft and starts playing,
and by gone I mean like left Blizzard. He's still alive.
We also have to give players something to aspire to. There's a lot to be said for that moment when you're sitting in Orgrimmar as a newbie and somebody runs through in like all raid gear and you're like, wow, that guy must be so powerful.
Oh my god, we have lost this exact thing. We don't have that anymore. And I mean, I guess it's due to the nature of transmogs, and you can argue that transmogs are a good thing. This has always been a really big discussion point in MMORPGs, whether we should have transmog or not. Personally, I'm not really sure what to say, because on one side I really like transmog competitions and all that stuff, but on the other hand it does kind of obscure the game a bit because you can see what people are actually wearing, but at the same time it also prevents people from looking the same. So I always kind of leaned towards transmogs being available in a game, but maybe limited to an extent. I'm not really sure. Maybe there's like a way to kind of have both worlds, but I'm not really sure. I don't know what the solution is, but if any company could manage to find it, man, they would be on a roll for sure.
Or eBay or something.
eBay. Jesus,
so
man.
Anyway, the world feels a lot
bigger
for everyone if there's unbeaten content out there.
Yep.
Even if you're the guy who's like level 30
Absolutely.
doing a Wrathy Highlands quest, but you know that the resident Uber guild of your servers, you know, trying to kill Nefarian, it creates an epic feel for the whole world.
Oh my god. It is so crazy how they knew it back in the day too. It is so good. It just goes to show you how Blizzard philosophy has completely changed. It just reversed. Now they want everyone to do like the content, and no, you can't do Mythic. Only the 1% are doing it. Yeah, because it's too boring and nobody want to do it. And you essentially a robot plays the game for you with all the add-ons. So why does it even matter? It's so annoying. It's unoriginal. It's unorganic, and it's just garbage. It's so crazy to see how Blizzard used to like be back in the day, man. It just makes me sad, but it also kind of makes me happy because I think someone out there is looking at old Blizzard and they're taking notes, and we're about to witness greatness. I'm telling you, I believe that in the upcoming years we're gonna see some really great MMORPGs popping up. And maybe this is me deluding myself, but I honestly believe that. Because we've seen the rise of indie games and how they completely blew AAA games out of the water, and there's not a single reason for why this wouldn't happen for MMORPGs, even though I know they require a higher budget. For sure, I think it will happen. I think one day we'll see a good MMORPG. Hopefully it will be soon, because I don't want to play it with my grandkids. Even though that would be nice, I can force them to heal me.
Come, there aren't any low-level raids. If you ever want to raid something at low level, you could just try something that's higher level. But there's no real point to us creating this raid content that's going to be trivialized by levels anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll never raid. Why should I care?
And mind you, at the time they made dungeons like really, really big. They were essentially raid like, just dungeon form. And you could have made 10-man dungeons. That could have been a thing, and I would have liked to see that. But you know, like with 2 tanks, more healers, more DPS, that definitely could have been nice. Unfortunately, they didn't really do that. But yeah, for sure, for what it was worth at the time, it was perfect. Like, it was really good.
Care about raid content in World of Warcraft. Well, we hear this all the time, and then people end up contradicting themselves. They actually end up raiding. So a lot of people say, I'll never, that's not something that I'll ever do, and then they'll get into that like
crazy,
one Zul'Gurub raid and go, that was so much fun, I got this awesome item, it's actually something I want to do. I told everybody yesterday about my mom. She had never played a video game before, and then I got her into our friends and family alpha, thinking she'd load it up and go, oh, the graphics are pretty, you know, is that what you do? But she actually started playing the game, and she got pretty good at it, and now she has 2 level 60s and a level 50 that she's like on the way up with that one.
Mind you, that was back in the day.
By the way, so she's...
That's crazy. Oh,
so my whole point is that people who said that they would never engage in this sort of thing might one day find themselves doing it. She gets invited to Molten Core raids all the time. So there's what I like to call the 1%.
It is so baffling to see how video games used to be made by gamers. That is crazy. Like, that is incredible. I said crazy. I want to say incredible and crazy at the same time. So, but I mean, look at that. It was made by gamers for gamers. And that's why the end product, even though it was unfinished, no one is arguing that, it was vastly superior to anything before it and to everything that came after. It is incredible. It's just mind-boggling to see. This was 20 years ago. They knew what developers these days have no clue about.
Myth. Why do you create content for
the
1% of your population?
No!
1%
they called
is a convenient number just pulled out of thin air.
No, it's actual reality.
Our server programmers, Joe Rumsey and Brian Gibson-Winge, provided me with some statistics. They're able to log everything. So
okay, that's interesting.
Every night at prime time in the U.S., there are 500 Molten Cores with 15,000 players.
Damn.
150 Onyxias with 2,500 players.
Okay.
250 Blackwing Lairs, that's 6,000 players, and 700 Zul'Gurub instances with 10,000 players.
And that's towards the end of the expansion, right? Because Zul'Gurub was available.
Onyxia once a week.
That was phase 4.
Molten Core one night a week. So this is different groups that you're seeing on a lot of servers.
Yep,
we will see 500 to 700 people in Molten Core at prime time every night of the week. So there's
incredible.
a ton of people on the weekend, like right now. There's going to be 35,000 people in Molten Core and Zul'Gurub. So 800 of those Molten Cores and 700 Zul'Gurubs. The night Zul'Gurub went live, I think we had 2,300 instances of it running just during prime time.
Zul'Gurub was such a great raid. Window. It was. It's a catch-up raid, but it's so good.
Was the first raid encounter that we implemented. I took a picture of her on her birthday right there.
Nice.
It's right after she got placed. It's a placeholder model. We didn't have the final model for Onyxia at the time.
Feeling all the other boys.
So it's, I think, August 12th at 11:30 p.m. That's the time. So we wanted to break the standard raid mold with her. We wanted to make her a really compelling encounter. So here's some of the things that we did. We concepted a 3-stage encounter. Stage 1 is the introduction.
Yep.
There she is sleeping, and you see her, and your guild charges in, and your main tank better turn her quick enough, or that guy you want to kick out of the guild is in the whelps. And
it's so funny how he's hyping her up to be like the most difficult boss ever, and today you can literally go naked with 40 paladins and you'll do just fine. Because information is so widely available, and this game is so old, and gamers got so good at video games that Onyxia is like nothing. It's so funny to see. Like, back in the day, you need to realize information was scarce, and you needed to get help word to mouth information, and it was super difficult to understand what she truly does, and people really had to rely on like their instincts, their knowledge that that was available for them at the time, and they really had to play it out just together. They had to work towards achieving a certain goal. And it was incredible. It was glorious, dude. I wish I was alive to play in this time. Well, I was alive, but I was so like tiny. I was just a little kid. I couldn't play these video games because my parents wouldn't buy me anything online. So, it is what it is. I couldn't play this game. It's just unfortunate. But man, I wish I could have been there in those times. And I mean, I was for classic release, but it's not the same because again, you knew everything and everyone did all the content one try. You don't really wipe, and it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. All hell breaks loose. Just kill her. Shoot her.
And just kick the guy out already, He's
Yep.
just absorbing loot. Anyway, so then, we thought it was cool. You were fighting Onyxia. Oh, wow, she looks awesome. We're all in the right place. We wanted to mix it up. Let's have another stage where everybody changes roles. So, and also it was like this challenge to us, like, can we make her fly? And we did. So Onyxia flies. And then stage 3.
Again, you always need to remind yourself that the technology we have today is not what we used to have 20 years ago. So making a dragonfly was actually a really big deal back in the day. It was unheard of, as far as I know. But yeah, Blizzard had pulled it off. Like, Blizzard has pulled so many genius technology stuff in video games that no one has ever seen before. They were revolutionary for their time. Even with their other games like Diablo, which I recently spoke of, it was insane. You watch all of the stats, all of the way Portal functions, the way spells work. It's revolutionary. We have never seen anything like this. Blizzard was the golden standard for any video game to aspire. It was insane.
Is the all hell breaks loose stage. And that's where everybody better do the right things at the right time. So kind of like the grand finale.
Go to sleep in a corner and just shoot her down.
We sit down and constantly ask ourselves,
Full
what is
warlocks.
each class doing right now? If I'm a druid, what am I doing? Am I healing? Is there something for me to hibernate? If I'm a rogue, am I?
So that's what's
am I
the
gonna get
idea
ripped
behind
apart
it?
by the AE? If I'm,
Actually,
I'm
like
a
that.
warrior, am I single tanking this or off tanking? We have to ask ourselves, what is each class doing? We never want to approach a raid from too far back and too big picture that we forget what it's like to be an individual player at that encounter at that time.
Fantastic, and he hit the nail right on the head. This is what today's Blizzard is lacking. They don't look from the perspective of the player, they just sit back and they watch everything in like 30-60 degree angle, and they're like, okay, from what I can surmise, I guess we can change this, we can change that. No, brother, play your own game and you'll see for yourself what needs to be changed and what is good. But Blizzard has stopped playing their own games, and that's why we have a game that is catered to the 1%, because they're the most vocal minority, and, well, to be honest, they're kind of the only people left playing the game, at least at, rating levels. But yeah, I mean, it's just bad. It's not good anymore. They don't think about the regular old player. They don't play their own game, so they don't understand what goes through our mind, and that's why we get retail.
So we also try to mix things up, and I think Onyxia is a good example of that, or like the Razor Gore encounter. We don't want everything to be like this 30-minute snooze fest of,
don't you just kill
here
him?
we go, everybody start doing DPS and healing, and that's all you're going to do for the next 30 minutes. Because there's just nothing interesting about that. And we also don't want one boss to feel just like the next boss. If you look,
it's crazy he said that when Molten Core existed. I don't know if he's referring to Molten Core, but I mean, even back in the day, that was lackluster. I think one guy built Molten Core over the course of a week because they were so short on time. But, I mean, it's kind of funny to see him say that, so.
Look at Molten Core. Compare Magmadar to Lucifron. Within any raid dungeon.
Yeah, but compare Lucifron to literally anything else inside of the raid. It's the same thing. It's copy-paste.
We also want the fights to feel very different. We don't want them to all feel the same. So
you just gave two really specific examples
before implementing an encounter. Sometimes we come close to hitting these durations. Sometimes we're way off. As an example, for Valenstraws, our whole vision for that encounter is that it would be a 2-minute fight. Or actually 3 minutes is the real timer, because then you're screwed. But so pacing is important.
Interesting. Just a question. Do you think old raids used to be really long, or they were just at the right time, or even shorter? I think they were good. I think Molten Core was kind of long. There was a lot of trash in between bosses, and I think that was kind of annoying. I think Blizzard today is actually doing a really good thing where you have really nice raid times. It doesn't take forever. I think back in the day they used to be really long. They were super satisfying, don't get me wrong, but they were on the longer side. Like there were so many trash packs, especially in Blackwing Lair. That was crazy. There were a ton of trash packs there. I think Nex was the first real raid I can consider like really good raid. It was in Classic, the final raid of Classic, and it was great. It was phenomenal. It was truly outstanding. That was like the first real raid that I can actually call it raid.
In these fights, we don't want it ever to feel like something is dragging out. And if it ever feels like that, then we've done something wrong and we need to go back and fix it somehow. We want to challenge the players so they feel a sense of accomplishment. This is a real tricky one. You can turn that knob of difficulty up on the players. If you ratchet it up too high, it creates a lot of frustration on the player base.
Indeed.
We try to make it challenging, but not too challenging at the same time. And then we constantly want to raise the bar on ourselves. And what I mean by this is come up with new encounters that we hadn't done before. So like in our dungeons, we come up with guys like Arcadus, which is this awesome titan who's, you know, bringing guys out of stone form all around the room.
He's talking about goddamn, what did the names why do I want to say Uldum? No, Uldaman, sorry. I don't know what the hell happened to my brain there. I got a little bit scrambled. He's the final boss in this dungeon, and it was actually one of the best bosses in any dungeon in World of Warcraft. He was actually unique, like for the time, of course, and it was crazy good. It was really fun. You really need to know what you were doing, and it was just fantastic. But to be fair, old World of Warcraft classic dungeons were the best. They were goated. I really hated the way where they went with TBC, where all dungeons are split into 3 sections, and you can do each and every one of them whenever you like. I did not like that. I know many people did, and it kind of led to retail. I love the older dungeons. I loved a dungeon being an experience, and you have a front door, back door. You can enter whenever you want. You can leave for the day, and you can come back tomorrow. I loved all of that stuff. Or you can do a complete run. That's what I usually do, obviously. But that's what I loved about the game. I don't like the whole dissecting the dungeon thing. I think it's off-putting. I think it just breaks the immersion and the experience. And I just love running complete dungeons. But maybe that's only me.
And then we get to our raid encounter. It's like we have to do something a little bit more than that. This slide I call SMART. This is to address a lot of things that always comes up on the boards.
This is the classic argument.
How come you guys don't make a smart raid boss? Wouldn't
a
smart raid boss kill all the healers first? Okay, for 1 second, pretend that you play a priest. And let's pretend Onyxia is so brilliant that she's figured out somehow to kill the priest first. So your raid charges down into Onyxia's lair, and bam, 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 all your priests are killed. Did that somehow make the encounter more fun for anybody at that point?
Oh, you heard that?
Everybody always likes to play the realism card, you know. Well, I would, of course, I would kill the priest if I was, but you know, there's not really dragons at the end of the day. And, you know, they don't walk around with like helms of wrath stashed under their wings. So,
thank you.
You know, sometimes you got to do stuff to address.
Bro, even the guy recording is dead laughing. This is so true. This is the old as time argument of immersion versus gameplay. And he's absolutely right too. I mean, sometimes you do have to sacrifice immersion for gameplay because, yes, you can make any boss smarter and make him target like the weakest link, which, you know, are most of the time the healers, and then you can wipe the whole raid, but that's not gonna make it fun. That's not gonna make it fun, bro. You need to be considerate of gameplay before actual immersion, even though I think most of the time immersion is really, really important. Gameplay is king, always. So, you know, it's very difficult to balance the immersion versus gameplay stuff, but that's where you need to have clever people that can actually pull this off.
gameplay. I like to say that killing players is easy.
Absolutely.
So I think Jeff, if he wanted to, he could kill you in any way that you could possibly imagine. He could kill the druids by mind controlling the priests and having them kill the druids if he wanted to.
Yep.
And then,
that would have been dope, though.
Scott could send you to Thousand Needles, kill you, and break all your gear. You know, we have amazing tools. It's not like we're limited by technology. We could kill you anytime we want, like in the beta.
Oh, what the hell? They spawned Magmadar inside of the chambers?
Stormwind, and those are real players.
That is crazy.
Yeah, we could put everybody. We could put Ragnaros in Razor Hill. I think we did that. Nobody still to this day knows who put Ragnaros in Razor Hill, but he was there. So that's
yeah, and obviously they can do that because what are world bosses? They're bosses, but just out in the open. So of course they can do that. They were not limited by technology. Is just that they thought about the player and they thought what would make the most fun. Again, something that Blizzard today is lacking.
It's Magmadar in Stormwind. So killing players is really one of the easiest things that we can do. It doesn't even take a lot of thought. You know, we can be really non-creative and just, oops, you know, cleave, but for 8 billion and everybody's dead. So the point is, it's not like it's us against you guys. We're not trying to, like, Nefari's not our baby and don't kill him.
Oh my
put
God.
him in the game so you'll kill him, you know? Like, we want you to kill our raid monsters.
Perfect.
We put loot on them because we expect you to kill those things. So
yep.
You have to get away from this assumption that we have to have content that we just don't want the players to beat. We want you to beat our encounters.
Absolutely.
But we want the encounters to challenge you in a fun and creative way. We want you to, as players, to walk away and say, we really had to work on our strategy. We didn't get it on the first try. You know, maybe we didn't even get it on the first 2 weeks of trying, but we were able to, you know, unify as a raid and beat this thing.
Yep.
So challenging players in a fun way is the designer's challenge. That's what we have to come up with.
Exactly.
So
exactly. I love this line too. I love this line. Challenging players in a fun way is the designer's challenge. Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that designing a raid is easy and Blizzard should do everything right. But for some reason, it's like they're not even trying. I mean, if you look at modern game design, it is tailored for essentially a robot, right? And you're not supposed to do any raid without the add-ons. Because if you look at Archimond Mythic, at least back in the day when, you know, I used to still kind of watch this game still, it was impossible to do without an add-on that tells you exactly where to go and where to stand. Now, today, it's a bit different. They have went a little bit easy on the add-on side, so there are some raids that you can do without the add-ons, and they actually feel pretty good, as far as I've heard. I haven't played them for myself, because why the hell would I play retail WoW? But it's not completely there. They need to remove add-ons entirely, and just make raids challenging on their own. Just make them so they're tailored to an actual human being, instead of a machine. And that would be incredible. That would truly revitalize the game.
In a fun way is the designer's challenge. That's what we have to come up with.
Yeah, and also you don't need to have 20 mechanics on the same boss. You can have like 3 or 4 solid fun mechanics and everyone would be happy.
So this brings us to our next slide. These are raid creatures and who kills what the most.
Veilstress.
One day, Veilstress killed 24,000 people.
Did he have this is the boss with a flame breath, right? I forgot about that.
Bloodlord with 11,000 people and Fire Maws at like 10,000. And I threw some other stuff in there, like on the low end of the scale is the Rizashi Adder. That's like one of the snakes in Zul'Gurub. 4,000. The Firewalker, which is just funny. Like I love watching people pull those, you know. Like, make the Paladin pull the Firewalker. I'm serious, too. It's like... Anyway, as comparison...
Come on. Oh my god, most number of players killed and why...
The Gadgetzan Bruiser is weighing in there, so maybe we should put purple loot on that guy or something. He's earning his keep, Goblin style.
Oh, man, they actually love the game.
I like to point out that the Alliance is not easy mode. Anybody who's been level 14 in Westfall Yeah, it's hard, man. Moonbrook, they're like, you see 4 of them start at once, and you're like, oh god, Sentinel Hill. So
God,
even with the best individual skill players,
they actually
you
had
put us all
passion.
together in the same raid at Blizzard, and we suck. We are a great player. We made the game. We made the encounter. We know the strat. We have awesome loot.
And they
but
suck.
we don't play together like every day like you guys do. And we also, we don't care about like DKP and all of this. We're not looking, when we engage a raid encounter, you'd be surprised at what a psychological difference that makes on a raid. So as an end result, we suck when we play as a raid as a whole, and we spaz out and we die like crazy. Oh my god. We had that one guy we're trying to do Hakar. We're testing him.
Oh, Hakar.
And we know the strat. Jeff made up the encounter, and Jeff's telling us what to do, and he's like, all right, guys, just don't remove, the curse, whatever you do.
Yep.
This dude is just
the blood.
spamming, and he's like, when we want the curse removed, we can't get it removed. But this one time, there's a guy, just everybody stripped of it. And sometimes things occur on production realms that cannot be simulated in-house. So
Absolutely.
a lot of the testing that we do is not actually on a production realm, but on our own personal servers. But so then we try to test it on the PTR too, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So a lot of players wanted a Blackwing Lair kept off the PTR. So players wanted the sense of competition and surprise revealed by keeping Blackwing Lair off the PTR. So we did that, but we felt like ultimately the zone was not tested as thoroughly as it needed to be, and it suffered for that. And for that, we apologize. We make mistakes. We never claim that we're infallible.
And that's the exact reason why you don't really need to listen to your player base all the time. And I know some people will get mad at me for saying this because, oh, you should always listen to your players. No. A lot of players say a lot of different things that collide with each other. And it's like listening to Reddit. If you listen to Reddit, no matter for which game, it will always suck. Because on Reddit, you have 2 of the same opinions, like just complete opposite opinions that constantly clash. And you think that each one is essentially true in its own way, and you never try to find middle ground if you listen to each of them. So, just like he's saying here, listening to the players wasn't a good thing. It proved to be really bad, even though Blizzard knew it. They wanted to listen to their fan base, and they didn't release it to the PTR, and at the end result, the raid itself sucked. I mean, it was probably buggy, messy, and a lot of unintentional encounters happened, so it is what it is. Sometimes you have to take the reins for yourself, and you have to know you have to know which direction you want to go in, even to the players being kind of annoyed at that. I think that is fine. You need to know when to listen to the players. That being said, nowadays Blizzard, well, I mean, technically true. Blizzard don't listen to the fan base at all, but, they can find middle ground, I guess.
We learned from that. So, as all of you guys know, we followed it up right away with Zul'Gurub. We put it on the test server, and we feel like it was a pretty solid zone when it came out. Relatively few bugs there. WoW was in alpha/beta for over 1 year.
Crazy. Show this to Steven from Ashes of Creation.
Somewhere from 3 to 8 weeks, and this includes development and testing.
Insane.
That's a really short period of time. WoW.
Insane. People don't even realize how undercooked the game was. You should have had, if the game was completed, we could have had Tears Hand raid, Scarlet Monastery should have been a raid, Emerald Dream should have been a zone, I believe, and a raid. Hyjal was supposed to be in the game. So many things that came on later expansion should have been in classic World of Warcraft. So that's crazy. Player housing, which came in this expansion, was supposed to be back in the day. Just so you understand, like, the scope the Blizzard was aiming towards. It was crazy, and the game was so undercooked, and yet it is 10 times better than everything we have today.
I was so polished when it came out, the 1 to 59 game, because we had a long time to work on that content and make sure it's solid. Well, you take something like a zone like Blackwing Lair, under tremendous demand from the player base to get it out as quickly as possible, And it sort of puts an extra burden on us to make sure that, you know, we get extra testing or whatever. I just want to remind everybody that these patch cycles are extremely fast compared to normal development. So sometimes that causes us to let a bug here and there slip in, and we try to fix those as quickly as possible, obviously. I'll just finish up with looking at the big picture a little bit. Our goal is to have enough content to keep a full-time raiding guild busy each night of the week for a week.
Also, Karen should have been in the game, yeah. It came in TBC, Caverns of Time also.
Kind of the way that raid content has worked out so far in WoW has been very linear, and we feel like this
raid progression causes a lot of problems.
And then finally, bigger is not always better. What I'm talking about is raid size. Even hardcore raid players, and I know lots of them, and I am one myself, appreciate a smaller raid. Adding more people to a raid does not make it better somehow. All it does is make us turn to math to go, okay, we've got to ramp the DPS up, and then they've got to ramp their character, you know, power up. It kind of does this whole inflation of the game that's not necessary. If we can keep raid sizes smaller, each individual who shows up
matters
more, and their decisions feel more impactful. It's much cooler if each person in the raid can feel like they're contributing to something, rather than, you know, okay, Jeff is DPS, Steven is healing, you know, Alex is more DPS, Scott is healing. Like, we don't want it to be a numbers game. We want every individual who shows up on your raid to feel like they matter. So that's...
And also, that's the end of the video. Wait, let's hear the final second.
Bigger is not always better.
Yeah, okay. So this is the end of the video. I'll just add to what he said at the end there. Also, the fact that you have less people mean it's easier to control the raid synchronization. So when you're 40 men in a raid, it is very easy for one person to mess up and screw up your entire group. We can use the Leaving Bomb as an example, even though now today it's very easy to like deal with, right? Or we can take Naxxramas, right? Like Naxxramas 4 raiders was insane. Like the 4 horsemen, man, that was difficult to do. Even for us, when I did Nax on Classic server, when it was, you know, released, it was crazy, man. That was difficult. Having 40 people trying to synchronize and cooperate is very, very difficult. And also bringing 40 people to a raid at the same night is not an easy feat to do anymore. People have jobs, they have life. So it's very difficult to do that. And I think bringing like 20 people is way more preferable. Like 20, 25 is way more preferable for sure. So I'm glad Blizzard understood that after one single, well, not expansion, just the base game, right? Like after one gaming year, like that is good. That is good. I love that. I love the fact that they looked at it and it was like, okay, it's just a numbers game. We've inflated everything. It doesn't really matter. It just changes the math. So we should have smaller groups. And he's absolutely right on individuals matter more in smaller groups. And that's exactly why I love having small groups for raids. Yeah, it was incredible. Anyway, this video was fantastic to look at, man. I mean, wow. Blizzard have changed tremendously. It is so incredible to see. I mean, wow. They used to be so good. They used to have passion. They have lost this. Today, you see someone talk from Blizzard about Blizzard, and it looks like they just want to leave. And to be honest, I completely understand why.